St. Augustine, Commentary on the Gospel of John, chapter 10, verse 1 to 10 following. You hear, brethren, the great importance of the question. I say then, the Lord knows them that are his. To Timothy, chapter 2, verse 19. He knows those who were foreknown, he knows those who were predestinated, because it is said of him, for whom he did foreknow, he also did predestinate to be conformed to the image of his Son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. Moreover, whom he did predestinate, them he also called, and whom he called, them he also justified, and whom he justified, them he also glorified. If God be for us, who can be against us? Add to this, he that spared not his own Son, but delivered him up for us all, how has he not with him also freely given us all things? But what us? Those who are foreknown, predestinated, justified, glorified, regarding whom there follows, who shall lay anything to the charge of God's elect? Romans chapter 7, verse 29 to 33. Therefore the Lord knows them that are his. They are the sheep. Such sometimes do not know themselves, but the shepherd knows them according to this predestination, this foreknowledge of God, according to the election of the sheep before the foundation of the world. For so says also the apostle, according as he has chosen us in him before the foundation of the world. Ephesians chapter 1, verse 4. According then to this divine foreknowledge and predestination, how many sheep are outside, how many wolves within? And how many sheep are inside, how many wolves without? How many are now living in wantonness, who will yet be chaste? How many are blaspheming Christ, who will yet believe in him? How many are giving themselves to drunkenness, who will yet be sober? How many are preying on other people's property, who will yet freely give of their own? Nevertheless, at present they are hearing the voice of another. They are following strangers. In like manner, how many are praising within, who will yet blaspheme? Are chaste, who will yet be fornicators? Are sober, who will wallow hereafter in drink? Are standing, who will by and by fall? These are not the sheep, for we speak of those who were predestinated, of those whom the Lord knows that they are his. And yet these, so long as they keep right, listen to the voice of Christ. Ye, these hear, the others do not. And yet, according to predestination, they are not sheep, while the others are. There remains still the question, which I now think may meanwhile thus be solved. There is a voice of some kind. There is, I say, a certain kind of voice of the shepherd, in respect of which the sheep hear not strangers, and in respect of which those who are not sheep do not hear Christ. What a word is this! He that endures to the end, the same shall be saved. Matthew chapter 10, verse 22. No one of his own is indifferent to such a voice. A stranger does not hear it. For this reason also does he announce it to the former, that he may abide perseveringly with himself to the end. But by one who is wanting in such persevering continuance with him, such a word remains unheard. One has come to Christ and has heard word after word of one kind and another, all of them true, all of them salutary. And among all the rest is also this utterance, He that endures to the end, the same shall be saved. He who has heard, this is one of the sheep. But there was perhaps someone listening to it who treated it with dislike, with coldness, and heard it as that of a stranger. If he was predestinated, he strayed for the time, but he was not lost forever. He returns to hear what he has neglected, to do what he has heard. For if he is one of those who are predestinated, then both his very wandering and his future conversion have been foreknown by God. If he had strayed away, he would return to hear that voice of the shepherd and to follow him who says, He that endures to the end, the same shall be saved. A good voice, brethren, it is, true and shepherd-like, the very voice of salvation in the tabernacles of the righteous. Psalm 118, verse 15. For it is easy to hear Christ, easy to praise the gospel, easy to applaud the preacher, but to endure unto the end is peculiar to the sheep who hear the shepherd's voice. A temptation befalls you, endure you to the end. For the temptation will not endure to the end. And what is that end to which you shall endure? Even till you reach the end of your pathway. For as long as you hear not Christ, he is your adversary in the pathway, that is, in this mortal life. And what does he say? Agree with your adversary quickly while you are in the way with him. Matthew chapter 5, verse 25. You have heard, have believed, have agreed. If you have been at enmity, agree. If you have got the opportunity of coming to an agreement, keep not up the quarrel longer. For you know not when your way will be ended, and it is known to him. If you are a sheep, and if you endure to the end, you shall be saved, and therefore it is that his own despise not that voice, and strangers hear it not. According to my ability, as he gave me the power, I have either explained to you or gone over with you a subject of great profundity. If any have failed fully to understand, let him retain his piety, and the truth will be revealed. And let not those who have understood vaunt themselves as swifter at the expense of the slower, lest in their vaunting they turn out of the track, and the slower more easily attain the goal. But let all of us be guided by him to whom we say, Lead me, O Lord, in your way, and I will walk in your truth. Psalm 86, verse 11. By this, then, which the Lord has explained, that he himself is the door, let us find entrance to what he has set forth, but not explained. And indeed, who it is that is the shepherd, although he has not told us in the lesson we have read today, yet in that which follows he very plainly tells us, I am the good shepherd. And although he had not said so, whom else but himself ought we to have understood in those words where he says, He that enters in by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the porter opens, and the sheep hear his voice, and he calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. And when he puts forth his own sheep, he goes before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice, For who else calls his own sheep by name, and leads them hence into eternal life, but he who knows the names of those that are foreordained? Hence he said to his disciples, Rejoice that your names are written in heaven. Luke chapter 10, verse 20. For whom this it is that he calls them by name, and who else puts them forth, save he who puts away their sins, that freed from their grievous fetters they may be able to follow him? And who has gone before them to the place whither they are to follow him, but he who rising from the dead dies no more, and death shall have no more dominion over him. Romans chapter 6, verse 9. And who, when he was manifest here in the flesh, said, Father, I will that they also, whom you have given me, be with me where I am? John 17, verse 24. Hence it is that he said, I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved, and shall go in and out and find pasture. In this he clearly shows that not only the shepherd, but the sheep also enter in by the door.